We're now all set to begin with our session on taking control, laying the foundation of your enterprise's connected tissue as we look forward to organizations that can no longer afford to solely rely on historic data to guide business decisions or to course correct. In this keynote, our speaker will be revealing through various examples how organizations can lay the foundation of an intelligent connective tissue to remain agile. As we look forward to this session, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Colonel Subodh Mukherjee, Chief Executive Officer, Mumbai Metro One Private Limited. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Alicia. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel charged today to share my thoughts with you on AT Business Transformation Summit 2021. I'm here to share with you thoughts on taking control, laying the foundation of your enterprise's connected tissue. Let me first focus on the word taking control. This phrase is best brought out by an anecdote or a story from the 70s seminal book, Future Shock by Alvin Toffler. Many of you would have read Alvin Toffler, author of the 70s. He future gazed, crystal ball gazed into the 21st century from the lens of 70s. In the 70s, Walmart was coming up as the biggest retailer in US with its large format superstore model. It was gaining huge market space. Gillette, which had preceded it in the market by almost seven decades, had controlled 90% of the shaving products. Now, Gillette knew exactly all about its product, and it often bulldozed all its retailers, including Walmart, as to which products to buy, how much to order, and even where to and how to display them. Now, in the late 70s, Walmart deployed a technology with an aim to streamline its planning, procurement, and also its inventory control. So a connected platform that gives it some leverage in shortening the queues at the superstore and giving better products to its customers. This simple technology was the barcode technology, which has become ubiquitous today. By the single stroke, Walmart, gathered knowledge about what products sold, how much it sold, and in what frequency they had to store their products. And with this, it wrested control from Gillette. And now, it not only told Gillette which products they were to supply them, but also at which rate. Wresting control is then all about leveraging your business. What you leverage with is unique to your business. Coming to our business, Mumbai Metro Line 1. This is the first public-private partnership in metro system in India. It's in the 7th year of its operation, having spent 5 years creating it, and is the lifeline of Mumbai, connecting the east to the west, which has always been a critical issue in the cosmopolitan city of Mumbai. But till now, we have transported 67 crore of people, that's half of Indian population, with 99.9% on-time performance and without a single day of stoppage in its 7 years of existence. Now, before we started Mumbai Metro, we had some examples before us. They were the lifelines of Mumbai, the mass rapid transport system, which is to say that they were the suburban trains, the red desk buses, the Kali Pili taxis, the auto rickshaws. They were very poor teachers. They were crowded, independable, unsafe, and not so very clean. We also had good teachers in terms of the metros which had already come up in Kolkata, in Bangalore, Delhi. They were fairly modern systems. They were dependable, punctual, safe, and most so, they were relatively clean. But when we studied them, we found that they had done enough but they were not customer centric, not really. So when we started our operations, we wanted to run it with the efficiency and the efficacy of a good private enterprise. We wanted line one to be centered around our customers, that is our commuters. To do that, we had to be very dynamic in our operations, smart in designing all our ticketing products, and very cost effective in our maintenance and our running to ensure self-sustainability. So we understood that we need to leverage technology and knowledge, and to be able to shift from legacy system to a truly new one, we had to build a cognitive enterprise. The word leverage sounds very simple. Now let me give you an example from the world of sports. On himself, the highest a man can jump in high jump is about 8 feet. That's somewhere the world record. Sergei Bubka, the Olympian, he could jump 20 feet using just a pole as leverage. Looking for a pole for your business can be a very challenging task. For us, we knew very early that it would be our knowledge, our connectivity within that knowledge, and the data that is coming in from the 3 separate verticals that we have, that is operations, maintenance, and business, that is going to be our turning point. Data, as you would agree, and all of you who handle data well would agree, that's very confusing to use as a planning tool. Our first question, and that's what our my younger colleagues in Mumbai Metro, whom I call them Turks, who are digitally native, could crack. Let me explain the data that we had and what did they go about doing. So typically our data is generated from 3 systems or 3 different verticals of our business. One is the operational data, which comprises of how many trips we have made, how much electricity consumed, what is the axle load of each train during each trip. Then we had the maintenance data, which was typically, around the how much is the wheel wear of after every trip, how many breakdowns, what was the mean time between breakdowns and repair, etc., etc. We also had a huge amount of data coming in from our business, platform. That is how many people traveled between one station to another, how many brought single journey tickets, how many bought return journey tickets, how much of card is being subscribed, what kind of trip cards are being sold. These were altogether terabytes of very frightening data. We could have been swamped by it, but like I said, the digital natives of our organization quickly understood 4 things. Let me, bring them up as A. The first question they, sort of made us realize, the decision makers, that understand your data. Where is it coming from? What is important? And most importantly, why is it important to you? Second was define your data. What do you want this data to do? What do you want this data for? What do you want to do with it? Now, that's a very important question. Most of us get swamped by data. Look at your WhatsApp today, or even on this pandemic. I mean, there's so much of it coming. You're confused completely. So you need to know. You need to have to define your data. What do you need it for? The most critical thing was when we came up with the issue of how to analyze that data. How do we analyze the data for what requirement? Which brings us to a very important question, that is your business requirement, your operation requirement, and your maintenance requirement clearly defined? And if they are defined, how do you connect all of them into one single platform? How do we integrate these analysis? What tools do we use? These realizations immediately gave us some insights into how do we plan the core of our connected tissue of our business. Coming to the core, within the first year of our operations, we started connecting the three verticals of our business on the operations, the maintenance, and the business into what we could say a mainframe in earlier times and platform today. The idea was to leverage the connected tissue to be able to A, make holistic business decision, B, gain predictive insights into our operations, and finally to improve our processes. Let me sort of get to each of them and give you some instance and some insight as to what did we do. The three areas I will highlight. First is our predictive insight into operations and maintenance. Now, all modern metro systems run on an algorithm-based scheduling system. If we feed 3 minutes headway in peak time, it means that every train will run precisely 180 seconds behind each other. The trains are automatically hard-coded to control and alter their speeds to maintain this given highway. Simple. Now, we get a set of data from our toll gates. That's what we call the automatic fare control gates at the station. When people enter, they swipe the card or put their tokens in, and the data tells us one simple thing, that how many people are entering the system at each of these stations, how many are exiting, and that's a set of data. It doesn't do anything for us, excepting knowing how many people are entering, how many people are leaving. We get another set of data from our operations branch, which gives the exact load of each axle on each of our train cars, which tells us that exactly how many people are there on a train at any particular time, or how many passengers are there on a loaded train. Now, these two disparate data, when you overlay them on each other, you get a fine point of analysis, or a fine point where you can make a business decision. For instance, when you put these data together, you exactly know how much crowd is there on your station, how much is traveling on the train. So it gives us that unique ability to dynamically alter a timetable by sort of either reducing the headway if the crowd is more, by introducing a train at that point of time, or by increasing the headway if we realize that sort of we are not optimally scheduling our timetable. Now, on one hand, this is a customer-centric decision that our commuters should not be discomforted. On the other hand, it is a business decision to optimize our schedule so that we do not run more trips than we should be, or we run less than what the demand requires. That's an example of now, business decisions. These are more sort of subtle decisions, because they increase the value of our products and services by making them either efficient or safer or customer friendly or customer friendly. Now, quoting from our experience, commuters on a metro system are on an average middle-class people who are sensitive to the fare products. One of the data that came in during the initial years of our operations was that a regular trip pass holder tends to travel less towards the end of the month. Now, we have a huge data coming up from our Commuter Connect programs, which feeds us the voice of the commuter. We realized, sort of taking data from them, that people towards the end of the month would not like to load their charge their cards if they find that their trips are finished. So now we realized that we are pushing people to move out of our system during the end of the month. It gave us a deep insight, and we came up with a new product called the Unlimited Trip Pass. Now, my business leader head would be somewhere here listening. And at that point of time, it was a lot of debated that, well, we will lose money, we will, it's not so efficient, so many trips, but it proved to be one of the silver bullets. The business was picking up around a lot of people, delivery people carrying stuff from one place to another along that corridor where we run the metro. It's a very dense corridor. And we saw that the moment we introduced that unlimited trip pass, there was a sudden increase of that product and in comparison to other products. And we also continuously monitor that. It was a sound decision to make based on a connected tissue, which gave us data from one, data from another, and we were able to get an insight into designing a product. I will tell you a little more about the maintenance. So the maintenance vertical, for instance, it's a very dense work. At any point of time, 400 in earlier times, at about 400 people at any point of time were working, on a week on 2,000 odd engineering jobs. Now, this could be that preventive maintenance of systems, one that carries on putting gel on your batteries and looking after the high tension wire by patrolling at the night during off-service hours, or repair, minor and major repairs. So these were all scheduled tasks, etc., very routine in nature. Now, as we went around, we started sort of understanding these engineering points, these maintenance tasks, and started collating them, curating the data to be able to come up with certain very insightful things. We shifted to predictive maintenance, and to give an example today, we have a high tensions wire where we do not do any kind of regular sub-inspection. What we do is we get a huge amount of data of reactance of the wire. We have come to know that if the reactance reaches a value which we are constantly monitoring, then we need to check that portion. We go to that portion, see if there are any wires which have are shearing off or something, repair that portion, we are back to square one. So it releases a large amount of effort of what we call buggery work, routine maintenance work, to more creative, insightful work. It actually gives more bandwidth for people to sort of realize more creative work. Now, there was a point about the uncertainty of today, and as the pandemic sweeps over the nation or the globe, we realize how difficult it is to make any planning or to create any plans or to make or do any deep analysis or foresight thinking. It's difficult, all of us understand. But I still feel that that our connected tissue, the knowledge that we have gained and the data that we are gaining will give us very deep insights into managing our operations in the near future. As we get down from the severe lockdown restrictions, demand management of our trains will become a very challenging task. We'll have to see and monitor in a very, very specific manner, which we're still looking at, that how do we manage to bring back the confidence of our commuter into a mass rapid transport system. People are afraid to get into crowded places. How do we bring, and they have to travel. Mumbai is a city which is, laid out in a linear manner, and people live very far. They can't have a very long sustained to travel on private modes or, with such difficulties. We have to do something to build that confidence for them to come in. So the predictive scheduling of trains will become a finer task with all of us. How we do it is something that we have to create. When, on a simple thing, we were talking amongst our senior leadership team that people today are afraid, and this data comes from our, cameras. We've hundreds of cameras, sort of put everywhere to basically see crowd or to monitor any incident happening. Now, from the camera we realize that people, when they have to buy tokens, they are instead of bunching up, they are staying away from each other. So we want to push people away from the token system. We have done away with the physical token. We only have the paper QR code as of now. Once we started after pandemic, we are planning to move totally away from this ticketing system. We are introducing for the first time in the Mass Rapid Transport Systems of India, a truly open card, an open multimodal card. Now this card, open loop card, what it does is that one bank card with RuPay, MasterCard, what have you, you can travel from one mode of transport to another. You can do your banking activities from there. You can do your merchant or purchases from there. It reduces the load of buying tickets, queuing up at any place. You just need that card from traveling from one place to another. Now these are all insight-driven decisions that businesses will be forced to take. Times will change. But the basics of business, of trying to make some sense of this chaos, will always remain. You will have to drive deep insights from within your business. You will have to keep your antennas up to sort of understand that how your business will be impacted. And most importantly, you have to be very sensitive to the demand of your consumers, your customers, in our case, the commuters. Thank you very much. That's all that I had to share. I wish you all good health and all the best.